Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host with another marvelous video. We often say that a hero is only as good as the villains he fights. Who would men and women like Batman and Iron Man or Doctor Strange and Wonder Woman be if they didn't fight cunning, ruthless and nigh undefeatable villains? Well, Doctor Strange himself has a rogues gallery that's darker than the Darkhold itself. The Sorcerer Supreme has had to contend with wielders of dark magic and alien gods, as well as cannibals and seductresses. And although he's just a human, his intellect, coupled with his presence of mind, makes him an immovable line of defense. Of course, it all shows in the way he uses his magical skills and objects, which is when he becomes an unstoppable force of offense. But against whom does he use this force? That's exactly why we're here. In this video, we'll explore all 35 of the greatest evils that this strange doctor has fought. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Sis EG. Sis EG was a sorcerer from the future, the 31st century to be precise. He lived in an era of widespread magic, yet individuals had limited control over mystical energies due to its finite nature. Being exceedingly power-hungry and ambitious, he had this insatiable desire to surpass these limitations and amass unprecedented magical power. Sis EG's quest for godlike abilities led him to develop a unique way of finding power. He'd journey through time to absorb magical energy from his time onward, all the way to the very beginning of creation. His ultimate goal was to ascend to the status of a deity and reshape reality according to his whims. In his human form, Sis EG had an astonishing range of magical talents at his disposal. The more common of these were interdimensional teleportation, size manipulation, time travel, matter transmutation, force-projecting energy blasts, and the creation of energy constructs. However, he wasn't simply a master of these mystical arts, but had the ability to forcefully extract magical energy from all sources, weakening those in his proximity and even affecting individuals in entirely separate dimensions. Naturally, this pitted Doctor Strange and Mordo against Sis EG, but he was way too powerful for them and succeeded in obtaining the magical energy from his 31st century era to the very dawn of the universe's creation, and even from the likes of Merlin. With the power to reshape the universe in his own image, he came to believe that mankind was the most perfect creation of the universe and that an attempt to change humans was a pitiable thing. So he tells Strange that he would recreate the universe just as it had existed for billions of years. Essentially, Sis EG became God. If you look at it closely, his name, when spelled backwards, forms the word Genesis. Umar. Umar was a Faltine, a being of pure magical energy dwelling in their own dimension. Unlike typical Faltine offspring, Umar and her brother Dormammu possessed an unusual craving for physical matter. Their defiance led to a fateful clash with Sinister, their creator, whom they transformed from energy into matter, effectively ending his existence. Enraged by this act, the rest of the Faltine banished Dormammu and Umar from their dimension. These exiled Faltines found refuge in the Dark Dimension, a realm inhabited by sorcerers known as the Muruks, who were ruled by Oona. Umar and Dormammu exploited Oonar's desires for conquest, guiding him to expand his dominion by subjugating other dimensions. However, their recklessness led to the shattering of the barrier separating the Dark Dimension from the Mindless Ones, soulless brutes bent on destruction. The Mindless Ones decimated the Muruks, and Dormammu and Umar took control, eliminating or exiling any potential challengers. Umar's strength waned during this time, making her subservient to her brother Dormammu, who ascended as the ruler of the Dark Dimension. While Dormammu resumed his Faltinian form of flame, Umar could never become Faltinian after giving birth to Clea, the character played by Charlize Theron in MCU. Dormammu's ambitions led to confrontations with Earth sorcerers, notably Doctor Strange and the Ancient One. Following Dormammu's defeat and the breaking of the spell banishing Umar, she sought revenge, holding Clea hostage to lure Doctor Strange into a battle. Initially, Umar held the upper hand, but a vision of her true Faltinian form nearly drove her to madness. In retaliation, she threatened Earth, but Doctor Strange summoned an entity called Zom to stop her. However, Zom is another powerful energy of the Sorcerer Supreme. Anyway, during Dormammu's absence, she briefly ruled the Dark Dimension, but was eventually overthrown by Clea, who uncovered the truth of her parentage during their power struggle. Apart from being a powerful sorceress, Umar was also an excellent seductress and even slept with the likes of Hulk. Dormammu, the ruler of the Dark Dimension in the Marvel Universe, is a godlike being of immense power. With the ability to manipulate matter, reality, and magic on a cosmic scale, Dormammu is quite the threat to life across multiple dimensions. In fact, he derives strength from the worship and belief of his followers, constantly creating new ones to expand his influence throughout the multiverse. Dormammu has even created demon lords to carry out his bidding in various realities. Born from the Faltine, a cosmic race, Dormammu was banished from his original dimension due to his insatiable desire to control physical matter. His encounters with Marvel characters are extensive, including run-ins with Baron Mordo, Red Skull, and the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange. In the MCU, he serves as the archenemy of Doctor Strange. Dormammu possesses a wide range of awesome abilities, ranging from high-level magic use to expert hand-to-hand combat skills. Few beings in the Marvel Universe can match his raw power. Even Doctor Strange's other major villains like Nightmare and Loki pale in comparison to Dormammu. Simply because he's the powerful Emperor from the Dark Dimension, Dormammu often underestimates his adversaries, especially Doctor Strange. However, his arrogance has led to numerous failed attempts to defeat the mystic hero. To be honest, this guy is practically godlike, capable of facing some of Marvel's most potent beings and surviving. He's composed of pure mystic energy and can manipulate various magical forces, including astral projection, matter manipulation, teleportation, size alteration, elemental control, and more. Shuma-Gorath. Shuma-Gorath, an elder god in the Marvel Universe, has a mysterious and ancient history. Long ago, he ruled Earth and demanded human sacrifices until he was banished by the time-traveling sorcerer Sis EG. But as it happens with uber-powerful bad guys shunned in mysterious realms, Shuma-Gorath resurfaced later and dominated the world, feeding on humanity. Centuries passed and a rising god named Crom used the ironbound books of Shuma-Gorath to imprison him on a mountain. I'm sure the name Crom rings a bell. Trapped for over a century, Shuma-Gorath communicated with sorcerer Kol and GTH, which led to his release through the ironbound books. The barbarian Conan, aided by Crom, banished the demon back to its own dimension. In the modern era, Shuma-Gorath attempted to enter our dimension by possessing the mind of the Ancient One, forcing Doctor Strange to kill his mentor to thwart the invasion. Years later, while battling sorcerer Oona, Strange's actions weakened the barriers holding the imprisoned Old Ones, allowing Shuma-Gorath to return. To stop this, Doctor Strange ventured into Shuma-Gorath's dimension, merging with the demon. In a sacrificial act, Strange killed himself, destroying Shuma-Gorath. However, both were resurrected from the residual chaos power. Shuma-Gorath continued to make attempts to enter Earth's reality during the early 21st century. One such attempt was through an invasion of the Earth 616 universe, orchestrated by the Cancerverse through the Fault, basically a rift in the fabric of reality. The Guardians of the Galaxy and Lady Death managed to halt this invasion. As an elder god with vast powers, he's challenged the Sorcerer Supreme on numerous occasions, making him one of the most potent antagonists in the Marvel Universe. Interestingly, Shuma-Gorath made his cinematic debut in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where the character was named Gargantos and had a modified backstory. According to the movie, he was a creation of the Scarlet Witch instead of being a primordial being. Isaiah Kerwin, aka the Silver Dagger. Isaiah Kerwin was once a Vatican City cardinal, vying for the papacy with the Pope's support. However, his youth, extreme zealotry, and fanatical nature deterred the College of Cardinals from electing him. Kerwin's life took a darker turn when he delved into the occult, convinced it was part of a divine plan. He set out on a quest to master the black arts and become a divine weapon against Satan, which is why he adopted the moniker of the Silver Dagger. Renouncing his cardinal position, Kerwin traveled the world, immersing himself in the study of forbidden and dark religions. His commitment paid off as he became a proficient student of magic, with the ultimate purpose of executing the Lord's vengeance. The fateful encounter between Silver Dagger and the Sorcerer Supreme became inevitable. Despite the formidable protective spells surrounding the Sanctum Sanctorum, Kerwin's cunning allowed him to infiltrate it. However, during a confrontation with Doctor Strange and Clear, he found himself drawn into Agamotto's realm of unreality. Over time, Kerwin learned to influence events on the physical plane from Agamotto's realm. He mystically enslaved Maria Laveau in an attempt to return to Earth. However, Laveau broke free from his spell and turned the tables, fatally stabbing Kerwin with his own Silver Dagger. Doctor Strange then transported the wounded Kerwin back to Agamotto's pocket dimension for recovery. But Kerwin eventually returned to Earth and brushed off against the likes of Jack Russell or Werewolf. Baron Mordo. Baron Mordo's role in Doctor Strange's Rogues Gallery dates back to 1963 when he made his comic debut in Strange Tales number 111. Baron Mordo once served the same master as Doctor Strange but ultimately became his enemy. According to the comics, Mordo began on his path as a sorcerer under the Ancient One's tutelage in the 1930s. Despite recognizing Mordo's thirst for power, the Ancient One chose to train him, believing it would allow better supervision. Mordo, however, had other plans. He discovered Dormammu, an act forbidden by the Ancient One. Defying the Ancient One's orders, Mordo made contact with Dormammu and learned to summon him, which led to the possession of Crowler's body in 1943. Fortunately, Doctor Strange, time-traveling, intervened and thwarted Dormammu, thereby saving Crowler. Yet, Mordo's thirst for power remained unchecked. Mordo's dark descent continued when he sacrificed his own mother and grandfather to Dormammu, cementing his alliance with the malevolent entity. The Ancient One, aware of Mordo's actions, sought to train a powerful sorcerer to counter him. This is where Stephen Strange enters the picture. Dr. Strange's arrival in Tibet was the beginning of his journey under the Ancient One's guidance. Mordo, consumed by jealousy and resentment, attempted to stop Strange's initiation into the mystical arts. Despite Mordo's efforts, Strange became the Ancient One's disciple, and Mordo left Kamar Taj. Mordo and Doctor Strange's rivalry intensified as they clashed repeatedly. In one instance, Mordo manipulated the Ancient One's assistant to poison her, but Strange intervened. As far as his powers are concerned, Mordo is almost as good a sorcerer as the Sorcerer Supreme. He's a master of force field creation and astral projection, and has the power to influence the thoughts of others. Celius. In the prequel comics to the 2016 Doctor Strange film, he had a life of contentment in Copenhagen with his wife, Adria. However, the couple had previously lost their son. Their world turned upside down when a mysterious illness claimed Adria's life. Celius, desperate for answers, embarked on a journey to Tibet guided by Karl Mordo, where he sought solace and understanding under the tutelage of the Ancient One. Celius displayed remarkable aptitude, becoming the Ancient One's most promising disciple, even destined to inherit the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme. However, his ambition and hunger for power proved his undoing. During his training, Celius battled over a potent relic called the Dark Spectre and defeated his fellow sorcerers. Eventually, he discovered that the Ancient One was drawing energy from the Dark Dimension to sustain her life. Feeling betrayed, he stole forbidden knowledge from a spellbook and turned to the service of Dormammu. Celius believed Dormammu could bring about a world without death, where humanity would achieve immortality. Additionally, his desire to reunite with his lost family clouded his judgment, blinding him to the true nature of Dormammu's offer. Corrupted by the Dark Dimension's power, Celius developed some serious magical abilities, which enabled him to confront Doctor Strange and even the Ancient One on equal footing. The mystical energy also tainted his appearance, which is why his face had these strange dark stains. His intelligence, combat powers, and magical aptitude made him a formidable adversary. The Ancient One had once considered him a worthy successor, but Celius' insatiable quest for power and unwillingness to share her knowledge led him down a darker path. Zom. Zom is basically a monster in the comics. Zom's immense power dwarfs that of even folks like Umar and Dormammu, although he is subordinate to the Supreme Living Tribunal. Ages ago, Zom was vanquished under undisclosed circumstances. In a bid to safeguard the universe from Zom's overwhelming might, Dormammu bound him with the chains of living bondage, cloaked him in a crown of blindness, and entrapped his essence within an amphora in a realm beyond time and space. However, Zom was unleashed when Umar arrived on Earth and fought Doctor Strange. To repel Umar, Doctor Strange transported Zom to Earth, relying on the demon's uncontrollable impulse to target the most potent presence nearby. Overwhelmed by Zom's sheer power, Umar retreated to the Dark Dimension. With Zom now on Earth, Doctor Strange faced the monstrous entity himself. He learned from his mentor, the Ancient One, how to overcome Zom. Doctor Strange severed Zom's forelock, a tuft of hair on its brow, which triggered a wave of panic and power that reverberated across the planet. This disturbance summoned the Living Tribunal, the Cosmic Arbiter, who then obliterated Zom. The Living Tribunal reprimanded Doctor Strange for releasing such a force and disturbing the balance of mystic powers. Zom's forelock, it appeared, concealed the presence of evil mystic energies, and its removal led to the awakening of such forces worldwide. When destroyed, he could regenerate from minuscule remnants, even those within his original amphora prison, provided he had access to a source of mystical power. Despite multiple defeats, Zom could never truly be annihilated, and existed as if he were a multifaceted, self-replicating program. Scarlet Witch. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, displayed intense levels of power and rage in Multiverse of Madness that might surprise some fans. However, her penchant for unbridled fury is not new in the comics. The character has a rich history of clashes with her fellow Avengers, with House of M as her seminal antagonist story arc. Yet, Avengers Disassembled laid the groundwork for her downward spiral. In this arc, Doctor Strange, while not the central character, managed to incapacitate Wanda. Interestingly, readers who dive into this storyline after watching Multitude of Madness might find it astonishingly easier for Doctor Strange to subdue her in the comics, as the movie portrayed her as even more formidable. The MCU made Wanda an even more potent force, leaving little chance for Doctor Strange in their final showdown. In the MCU, Wanda's grief and trauma lead her to take control of Westview, creating a self-made perfect reality while unintentionally trapping the town's inhabitants. Recognizing the harm she caused, she eventually releases her illusionary family and exiles herself. Her path takes a dark turn as she dives into the Darkhold to enhance her powers, becoming corrupted by its dark magic. Obsessed with finding her lost children and an idyllic existence in another universe, she embarks on a rampage for power, bringing her into conflict with her former friend, Doctor Strange, and the Masters of the Mystic Arts. Wanda's evolution in both the comics and the MCU shows the character's complexity and her journey from trauma to unchecked power, which makes her a truly compelling and unpredictable force in the Marvel Universe. Thanos. Introduced in 1973's Iron Man number 55, Thanos had since become one of the most powerful and relevant antagonists in the Marvel Universe. He, of course, leads the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy franchises and serves as the primary antagonist in the 2021 Eternals comics. Born on Saturn's moon Titan, Thanos hails from the demigod race known as the Eternals. Of them all, he's the most formidable and evil, his appearance matching his threatening reputation. But to be honest, if you think deeply, you might slightly even agree with his school of thought. Or maybe not. In the comics, his character-defining obsession is his love for the embodiment of death itself, and he's willing to annihilate entire realities to earn her affection, regardless of the power required or those who dare to oppose him. Thanos holds the title of arch-nemesis to many Marvel characters, including the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Silver Surfer, Deadpool, Captain Marvel, Adam Warlock, Thane, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and indeed, the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. His character is one of someone who holds extreme pride, someone who doesn't shy away from the notions of violence, malevolence, and ruthlessness. He's unflinching when it comes to sacrificing planets, civilizations, or even his own people to please death and win her favor. Despite his megalomaniacal tendencies, Thanos often communicates in a sophisticated and composed manner. He also has a thirst for knowledge. Interestingly, Thanos isn't simply bent on destruction. On occasions, when he perceives a greater threat, he's willing to collaborate with heroes. He joined forces with Adam Warlock to combat Magus and the Goddess, allied with Thor and Genisfell against Walker, sacrificing himself to restore the universe after defeating Akhenaten, vanquished hunger with Galactus' help, aided the Guardians of the Galaxy against the Cancerverse invasion, and worked with Deadpool to release Death from Eternity's prison. Additionally, he harbors genuine respect for Mar-Vell, the Kree, and Adam Warlock, considering the latter his only friend. So, Thanos isn't really a run-of-the-mill villain. Mephisto. Mephisto, the demon lord in Marvel's cosmos, is the supreme leader of his own dark dimension, often referred to as Hell. It's a place as nightmarish as any biblical hell, where Mephisto's rule is unchallenged, except by beings like Blackheart, his own son. Mephisto's power is more restrained outside his realm, yet he remains a virtually limitless sorcerer. He's well aware of these limitations and seeks ways to expand his influence across time and space. Still, like many demons, he takes pleasure in causing misery and deception simply out of malice. Mephisto's adversaries include the Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Ghost Rider, with the latter having a unique enmity, having initially been formed through a pact with Mephisto, but ultimately dedicating himself to stopping the devil. One of Mephisto's notable actions was offering Spider-Man a deal to resurrect Aunt May in exchange for erasing Peter's love for Mary Jane. That's just sick. He was also revealed to be the architect behind the transformations of Norman and Harry Osborn into the Green Goblin and Kindred, thanks to deals with the former. In the comic canon, Mephisto is a foe of Doctor Doom due to his torment of Doom's mother, Cynthia Von Doom. While not as mighty as entities like Beyonder or Dormammu, he's faced formidable opponents, even occasionally confronting Galactus and Eternity. Mephisto acknowledges his inferiority to the one below all and recognizes beings like Shuma-Gorath, Null, the Black Winter, and the First Firmament as equal or superior entities in the cosmic hierarchy. Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom, the iconic Marvel villain, is renowned for his clashes with a multitude of Marvel heroes, including the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, and even Doctor Strange. His journey into the realm of magic began under his mother's tutelage, igniting a fascination with mystical powers. Driven by a relentless ambition to prove himself the superior sorcerer, Doom went on a quest through time to glean knowledge from history's greatest mystics. Doctor Doom ranks among Marvel's most dangerous magic users, possessing a wide range of the formidable abilities. His abilities include time travel, teleportation, advanced healing, and the unique capacity to reverse any spell cast upon him, which often makes Sorcerer Supreme's job that much more difficult. Behind his immense intellect, Doom's obsession with surpassing his rival Mr. Fantastic often ends badly for Doom. Despite his self-importance and calculated ruthlessness, Doom adheres to a strange personal code of honor and unwavering pride. This sense of honor is deeply rooted in the loss of his parents, which drives him to seek vengeance in their name. While Doctor Doom is a recurring villain in the Marvel Universe, he, like Thanos, occasionally assumes the role of an unexpected ally. Throughout his history, he's joined forces with various superheroes, including the Fantastic Four, albeit often to further his own agenda. His alliances often serve his interests, and he readily abandons his allies when they no longer serve his purpose. An emblematic example is his involvement in defeating the godlike Beyonder, his ulterior motive being the theft of the Beyonder's power. Oona. Oona is a skilled sorcerer from the planet Gavaltu. He had the uber-ambitious intentions to usurp the title of Sorcerer Supreme from Stephen Strange in their dimension. He planned a grand theft at the Sanctum Sanctorum itself to bring his plan to life. He quite literally stole Strange's mystical abode and transported it to his homeworld. In the process, Oona even injured Doctor Strange and seized his sacred totems and ancient tomes. With these stolen artifacts in hand, Oona declared himself the new Sorcerer Supreme. But what he didn't understand was that being the Sorcerer Supreme is more about who you are than what you have. So, in response, Doctor Strange, accompanied by Rintrah, embarked on a mission to Gavaltu to reclaim his stolen sanctum and rescue his imprisoned friends. But Strange had to face a difficult decision. Simply reclaiming the stolen items wouldn't have brought an end to the greed and thirst for power for beings like Oona. Therefore, Stephen Strange chose to safeguard the sanctum's power that these potent objects provided by destroying them, preventing Oona from wielding their formidable might. Dagoth. Dagoth is now considered to be a second-class demon, but he once held sway as a high priest in the city of Kalumesh. In those dark times, the city's inhabitants worshipped him zealously, and even offered blood sacrifices in his name. But their devotion brought misery and cruelty upon them until the city met its cataclysmic end. As Kalumesh crumbled beneath the sea's relentless fury, Dagoth too met his doom, buried within the ruins of the wicked city. All who served him perished beneath the watery tomb, with Kalumesh's remnants resting on the ocean floor off the coast of Cornwall, England. However, in the eons that followed, Dagoth somehow escaped his aquatic prison and was rumoured to lurk in the ocean depths near Penmallow, Cornwall. Eventually, Henry Gordon, the owner of Witch House, stumbled upon the legend of Dagoth. Now, the Witch House was basically a house of horrors and evil magic. In fact, one of its windows was a lens to help Shuma Gorath see what was happening in our realm. Unbeknownst to Gordon, his piqued interest resurrected Dagoth. Intrigued, Gordon, along with the house's caretaker Blondine, went scuba diving to explore the submerged city of Kalumesh. Instead, they came face to face with Dagoth. They would have been dead had it not been for a stroke of luck in the name of Doctor Strange, who sensed Shuma Gorath's presence at Stonehenge. Although Strange saved Gordon and Blondine, he sent the entire population of Penmallow into a trance, and they headed toward the water to serve as human sacrifices. However, Strange freed the entranced townspeople, allowing them to escape to safety. Strange then harnessed the surrounding mystical energies and banished Dagoth to an unnamed dimension, ensuring that the demon would trouble Earth no more. Kol and GTH. Kol and GTH was an extremely powerful but equally evil sorcerer who, in his earlier life, enslaved and abused a child in every way possible. Fearing for his life, the young boy killed his master, assuming his identity and powers. Striving to expand his magical knowledge, he sought tutelage from Mekri Ra, the sorcerer supreme of his era, but was denied. In an attempt to unlock hidden arcane secrets, he posed as a follower of Thoth Amon and approached lesser sorcerers for assistance, met with rejection and resorted to savage means. Resorting to cannibalism, he gained strength from the blood of his victims. Ultimately, Kol and GTH defeated Mekri Ra, consumed his essence, and became the Sorcerer Supreme himself. Millennia later, his essence was reawakened in modern New York when his necklace was discovered in a museum. At the height of his power, he transformed Manhattan and trapped its inhabitants in an alternate reality, except for Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. Kol and GTH mind-controlled heroes, including the Avengers, X-Men, and the New Mutants, which made them hunt down Spider-Man. The battle led to the demise of several heroes. In a daring move, Doctor Strange and the New Mutant magic altered time, preventing Kol and GTH's host from committing the original murder and erasing the devastating consequences of his actions from the timeline. Yandroth. Yandroth was an extraterrestrial scientist who fought Doctor Strange on multiple occasions, but was ultimately defeated and exiled into an alternate dimension. In this new realm, he formed a belief that power could be obtained only by destroying entire worlds. His creation, the Omegatron, became a massive threat to Earth, but was taken care of by the Defenders, the team created by Doctor Strange to defeat supernatural or demonic threats. Yandroth then took a more remote approach, like telepathic control of individuals, to execute his grand plans. He managed to capture Patsy Walker, but she escaped and alerted the Defenders, who at that time consisted of Namor, the Hulk, Doctor Strange, and Silver Surfer. The Inbetweener. The Inbetweener is a cosmic entity shaped by the principles of equilibrium and was brought into existence by Master Order and Lord Chaos. Its purpose is to preserve universal harmony and act as an emissary of these cosmic forces. This being is a synthesis of opposing concepts, bridging dualities such as life and death, reality and illusion, good and evil. It serves as the counterpart to Galactus, who signifies the absence of these opposing forces. Initially, the Inbetweener captured the artificial humanoid Adam Warlock and attempted to mold him into a champion of life to rectify the disruption caused by Thanos. Later, Doctor Strange confronted the Inbetweener as it bolstered a group of rogue wizards known as the Creators. Their aim was to restore equilibrium by inducing universal insanity. Doctor Strange intervened, opposing the Inbetweener's design by invoking its masters, Master Order and Lord Chaos. Doctor Strange succeeded in thwarting the Inbetweener's plans. Mindless Ones. In the climax of the Doctor Strange film, Benedict Cumberbatch strikes a unique bargain with Dormammu. Doctor Strange agrees to break the time loop that entrapped both of them on the condition that Dormammu withdraws his forces from Earth and refrains from further attacks on this dimension. This agreement, however, has profound consequences for the rogue sorcerer Celius and his two remaining followers. As Doctor Strange returns to Earth, these three adversaries are cast into the Dark Dimension. As the gate sealing off this dimension from Earth closes, their bodies undergo a disturbing transformation. They become what looks like the Mindless Ones from Marvel Comics, mystical beings introduced in 1964 as powerful servants who are often used by Dormammu. These creatures are living beings turned into almost mindless, stone-like entities with immense strength, incredible durability, and the ability to unleash energy blasts. In the comics, Dormammu isn't the sole entity with the capacity to command the Mindless Ones. This means there's a possibility for them to resurface under a different context. Dormammu might even find a way to circumvent his agreement with Doctor Strange and bring forth hordes of Mindless Ones. Given the MCU's Phase 4 and Phase 5 focus on mystical elements, the return of these creatures would not be surprising. Mr. Rasputin. Pavel Plotnik, a distant descendant of Grigory Rasputin, used his mystical talents for evil purposes, but he primarily used them to steal sensitive military and government secrets worldwide. His activities drew the attention of Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, who sensed the darkness of Plotnik's magic. The Sorcerer Supreme challenged Plotnik, but he resorted to conventional weaponry and shot Doctor Strange. He then invaded Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum with the intention of seizing his magical powers. In a final confrontation, Doctor Strange's astral form used the Cloak of Levitation and the Eye of Agamotto to defeat Plotnik. Tiboro. Tiboro, once revered as a mighty leader by a Peruvian tribe, grew so powerful that he was believed to have ruled the entire world at one point. To exert control over his dominion, he used the power of lightning and electroplasmic rays. However, he was later banished from Earth to a different realm called the Sixth Dimension, which resulted in the eventual collapse of his grand civilization. The only things left behind were the Screaming Idol and Tiboro's coat. Archaeologists stumbled upon the Screaming Idol, unwittingly falling into its abyss during a televised expedition. Doctor Strange began investigating it to find the source of the idol's influence, which led to his meeting with Tiboro in the Sixth Dimension. In the mystical duel that took place between them, Doctor Strange's victory forced Tiboro into relinquishing his captives, but he took a vow of vengeance. The Creators. The Creators are a league of sorcerers spanning various time periods who had this very strange objective of transcending the human form and transforming it into celestial entities. In fact, they sought to usurp the very essence of stars. In the Marvel Universe, stars are the primal source of universal energy, both the regular kind and mystical. By assuming the dominion of stars, they aspired to wield boundless power, effectively gaining control over the entire cosmos. Recognizing Doctor Strange as someone who could wreck their grand plan, the Creators forged an alliance with the Inbetweener, who facilitated the creation of the Cosmic Wheel of Change. Using the wheel, they set their plan into motion, aiming to supplant the stars with their own essence. The Creators also introduced Xander to their realm. Here, they honed his magical abilities and combat skills, shaping him into a formidable asset who could take down Strange. Cthulhu. Cthulhu, the sentient planet, served Shuma-Gorath. In its quest to fulfill its Dark Master's wishes, Cthulhu attacked Doctor Strange. The attack began with a horde of winged demons dispatched to engage the Sorcerer Supreme while he was visiting Stonehenge. Despite the initial setback posed by these lesser demons, Doctor Strange overcame them with ease. However, his triumph proved short-lived as he was abruptly transported to Cthulhu itself. The sentient planet sought to trap the sorcerer using its biosphere. Since Cthulhu could also appear as a giant plant, it used its vines to trap his psyche with the ultimate intention of siphoning his astral energy. Doctor Strange used the Crimson Bolts of Cyttorak to attack Cthulhu's root system, which was one of its weak points. The injury caused Cthulhu to wither and slowly perish. Consequently, Strange found himself marooned on the now lifeless planetoid, but ultimately managed to escape. Kalo. Kalo, the brainchild of Dennis O'Neil, first appeared in Strange Tales number 147 back in 1966. His origins date over 500 years ago in Tibet. Early in life, he developed a profound friendship with the Ancient One and commenced his journey into the mystic arts. This phase introduced him to Varney, a vampire who instructed him in the arcane secrets of the Darkhold. As Kalo honed his extraordinary magical talents, he ascended to the position of village leader and wielded power that eradicated hunger and homelessness among the populace. His benevolence soon morphed into tyranny as he harnessed the spells from the Darkhold to seize control of his people's minds. Upon achieving dominion, Kalo cast a spell that abolished disease, poverty, and suffering while bequeathing immortality to Kamar Taj's inhabitants. This transformation led to his coronation as the monarch, where he established an indomitable force, free of invasions by potential conquerors. However, Kalo's gradual ascent to power became a menace. He tightened his psychic grip on his subjects. One brave individual gathered the courage to warn Kamar Taj's populace about the impending threat posed by Kalo. Regrettably, Kalo paralyzed this unfortunate but courageous soul. Defying the oppressive rule, Kamar Taj's citizens united their mystical strengths to vanquish Kalo. Yet, Kalo managed to escape to the dimension of Ragador, where he immersed himself in arcane wisdom for 5 centuries to become more powerful than he already was. During his absence, Kamar Taj's inhabitants were no longer immortal, and the courageous messenger was freed from his paralysis. He eventually evolved into the revered Sorcerer Supreme of the Earth Dimension, known as the Ancient One. Under his tutelage, Stephen Strange was trained to embrace his role as the successor to the legacy of the mystic arts. Nightmare. Nightmare is one of the 7 Fear Lords, who are basically demonic masters in Marvel Comics. He draws his power from the deepest recesses of human fears. Nightmare first appeared in Strange Tales number 110, which was the same issue that introduced Doctor Strange. Nightmare is someone who might just be considered the very embodiment of all things evil, and in this capacity, he possesses the ability to invade the minds of humans and subject them to nightmarish torment, conjuring terrors beyond imagination. As a member of the Splinter Realms, a group of beings who divided power and authority over distinct domains, Nightmare rules over what is called the Nightmare Realm, which in other words can be called the Dream Dimension. Smells like Freddy Krueger found his god. While Doctor Strange is among his favorite targets, he's not the sole victim of his torment. Nightmare has cast his nightmarish shadow over other notable figures, including the likes of Spider-Man and the Hulk. Control of the Nightmare Realm often forces Nightmare in direct conflict with intruders seeking to challenge his dominion. Over 800 years ago, he gave rise to Dream Queen, a daughter who shared his lineage. Approximately 350 years ago, Nightmare meddled in the schemes of Dream Queen. Embroiled in Native American affairs, Nightmare is known to serve Shuma Gorath. Loki, well known to fans thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is a true god of mischief. However, his abilities extend far beyond the scope of his cinematic counterpart. With super strength, heightened durability, shape-shifting talents, hypnotic prowess, telekinesis, and a number of other gifts, Loki is super powerful in Marvel Comics. Loki made his first appearance in Journey into Mystery number 85. Primarily, he served as a villain for Thor and was the Avengers' earliest significant adversary. Loki has also engaged in high-stakes confrontations with the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange, despite his initial association as a Thor villain. Doctor Strange proudly bears the title Master of the Mystic Arts. However, would Loki win a battle against the Sorcerer Supreme? As a god of Asgard, Loki wields commendable magical abilities and is not to be underestimated. Doctor Strange's arsenal is both vast and profound, and includes various mystical objects, weapons, and artifacts. While familiar items such as the Cloak of Levitation, the Eye of Agamotto, and the Wand of Watum are well known, the other awesome weapons and tools are hidden in the pages of the comics. But then, Loki is Loki. As a gifted sorcerer in the various realms defended by Asgard, Loki is one of the most potent in his craft. His mastery over magic allows him to create illusions that are nearly impossible to detect. In the contest between Doctor Strange and Loki, the scales tip in favor of Doctor Strange. His status as the most potent mage in his universe, coupled with his intellect and presence of mind, make him an unstoppable force. And Doctor Strange dealt with Dormammu, so Loki shouldn't be much of a problem. The Zealots. The Zealots, led by Celius, were a dissident faction in the mystical order. These rogue warrior magicians grew disenchanted with the Ancient One's teachings and opted for a darker and divergent path. In their rebellion, they betrayed their former mentor and began walking on a journey that led to their inevitable doom. Their goal was to merge Earth with the Dark Dimension, ruled by Dormammu. This cataclysmic union aspired to obliterate the very concepts of time and death, ultimately granting them immortality. Comprising approximately 10 members, the Zealots were steadfast in their mission to reshape the fundamental fabric of reality itself. Dweller in Darkness. The Dweller in Darkness, an outcast demon, turned everything around when he started walking on a path called the Way of the Shamblu. In a previous universe, he sought universal peace through telepathic unity. When the current universe emerged, with it, a new incarnation of the Dweller also emerged. Upon his arrival on Earth, the Atlantean sorceress Zered-Nah, aided by Agamotto and the Atlantean god Valka, banished him. After Atlantis' fall, the Dweller harnessed the inhabitants' fear to birth despair, instructing him to avenge his banishment by slaying Zered-Nah. Dakim, the Enchanter, Zered-Nah's student, fought a millennia-long battle against despair, who aimed to instill enough fear on Earth to free his creator. During this period, the Dweller created other beings with similar purposes, including the demoness, Spite. However, despair remained his most potent creation. In the 20th century, the gods Thor and Hercules intervened to stop the Dweller's plan. They combated the Shade Trolls and vanquished them. Despite suffering setbacks, the Dweller persisted, generating new Shade Trolls and eventually freeing himself from imprisonment. Lilith. Lilith, in the Marvel Universe, is associated with the origin of vampires during her time in Atlantis, which earned her the title Mother of Vampires. In retaliation for her actions, Atlantean sorcerers imprisoned her inside the Leviathan. Lilith's lore also extends to biblical tales, with rumors suggesting her seduction of Adam and her devouring of unbaptized children to give rise to demons. Teaming up with Asmodeus, she birthed numerous demons, who later faced divine opposition. In modern times, Lilith came out from Leviathan's belly in Greenland, with an insatiable curiosity about her progeny and the contemporary world. Her attempts to manipulate individuals like Danny Ketch, Johnny Blaze, and others led to confrontations with the supernatural. Lilith wields powers originating from Mesopotamian gods and occult abilities obtained as she transitioned into a succubus. Her strength, endurance, and knowledge of magic are extraordinary. She can seduce and consume souls as a succubus, spawn Lilin, absorb them to bolster herself, and later resurrect them. Satanish. Satanish has made recurring appearances as an enemy of Doctor Strange. Introduced in Doctor Strange number 174, he was conceived as a creation of Dormammu and resided within a dimension parallel to the primary Marvel 616 universe. In his dominion, Satanish rules over a multitude of lost souls. His first appearance led to the formation of a sinister cult, the Sons of Satanish, who fought with Doctor Strange and even kidnapped his future wife, Clea. In the Marvel comics, Satanish ranks second only to Mephisto. Satanish's motives generally revolve around manipulation. He frequently collaborates with misguided humans, offering them tempting inducements such as superhuman powers and wealth in exchange for their loyalty and souls. Satanish's relationship with souls is complex. It's unclear whether he requires them for survival or merely takes over them out of malice. Regardless, he's cultivated both followers, like the Sons of Satanish, and adversaries, particularly Doctor Strange, the sorcerer tasked with safeguarding humanity from the likes of Satanish and other hellish entities. The Enchantress. Amora the Enchantress was born in Asgard. Because of her Asgardian origin, she possesses remarkable magical abilities, a beguiling charm, and great physical strength. Although her origin and birth are not detailed in the comics, her journey to mastery of the mystical arts is well documented. During her adolescence, she sought training under Karnilla, a renowned sorceress from Asgard. While initially dedicated to her training, Amora's undisciplined nature led to her expulsion from Karnilla's tutelage. Not deterred, she continued to hone her skills through various other means, which included capturing other Asgardian magicians. Now, that's some dedication to learning. Amora's lust for power prompted her to form alliances with powerful figures like Brunhilde, leader of Odin's Valkyries, and Scourge the Executioner. She used her magic to manipulate those around her to achieve her goals. Furthermore, her enchanting abilities have often stolen the hearts and wills of many, primarily Scourge, whom she kept under control for quite a long time. Throughout her exploits, Amora has aligned herself with notorious figures such as Loki, the Mandarin, and Baron Zemo. Her sorcery skills enable her to harness potent Asgardian magic and create destructive forces, altering her appearance and teleporting across vast distances. Despair. As the name suggests, Despair's powers revolve around fear and despair. At the nexus of all realities, he imprisoned sorcerer Jennifer Kale and the spirit of her late teacher, Dakim, seeking to corrupt them into serving his evil purposes using the dark mystic energies. Despair's murderous history includes the slaying of Dakim's mentor, Zered-Nah, centuries ago. Spider-Man and the Man-Thing, however, intervened, and despite his attempts to overwhelm Spider-Man with fear, the web-slinger's determination proved to be stronger, and Despair was defeated, which led to the release of Kale and Dakim. Subsequently, Despair adopted subtler methods like exploiting the despair of isolated victims, such as Jock Forrester, father of Elatis Forrester. Despair also challenged the spirits of heroes like Cyclops and Doctor Strange, but his illusions failed to subdue them. His yearning for power drove him to unite with the Fear Lords in an unsuccessful plot to conquer Earth. Interestingly, Despair's sister, Spite, tried to overthrow him by manipulating Juggernaut. As far as his powers are concerned, Despair can induce fear and despair through illusions and hallucinations and feeds on negative emotions. Immortality, intangibility, and energy projection are among his more formidable powers, and he can navigate different dimensions through teleportation. Despair's sinister ambitions led to the creation of the Dark Tower, which amplifies his powers by acting as a focal point, though it can be harmed through supernatural means. Agamon. Agamon comes from the Purple Dimension, but the specifics of his origins remain uncertain. He's either a native to this dimension or has established it as his dominion. Either way, he's reigned for thousands of years. Agamon's day job is basically abducting denizens from various dimensions and reducing them to slavery in the Purple Dimension, where they mine precious gems. It doesn't sound too fictional, does it? Doctor Strange once confronted Agamon when two men were entrapped in the power of the Purple Gem, which Agamon had taken from the Sanctum Sanctorum. A bargain was struck. Agamon would free the two men if Doctor Strange agreed to take their place. But of course, Strange's consent came with a twist. He intended to leave after the two men were liberated. The subsequent showdown saw them engage in an intense magical duel, both risking their very existence. In the end, Agamon conceded, avoiding a potentially fatal outcome and accepting a spell from Strange that weakened him, which stipulated that he could only regain strength by liberating his enslaved minions. Additionally, Agamon was among the Lords of the Netherworlds, who were summoned by Dormammu to observe the epic clash between Dormammu and Doctor Strange. Following Dormammu's defeat, Agamon and the other Lords returned to their respective realms. Sinister Strange. Sinister Strange is from Earth 199999 and retains many of Doctor Strange's defining traits. His personality echoes the familiar arrogance, egotism, and a somewhat cynical outlook on life. He believes in the greater good, even if it involves sacrificing lives, which is where he somewhat differs from the real Doctor Strange. However, he still upholds noble values and a readiness to assist those in need. However, his intense love for Christine Palmer spirals him down a darker path. Grief-stricken and desperate to reunite with her, he turns to the dark forces of the Darkhold. Once consumed by its corruption, his positive qualities become overshadowed by a sinister persona. Sinister Strange's love for his sister Donna still persists. Insecurity and self-loathing fuel his bitterness and vengefulness, compelling him to eliminate every alternate version of himself as a means to end their supposed suffering. His love for Christine transforms into an obsession, further amplifying the Darkhold's influence on him. Sinister Strange's demeanor is rather defined by dark humor, unhinged behavior, and sadism. While other iterations of Strange typically exude sophistication and composure, Sinister Strange's personality radiates malevolence and a constant state of unease. He initially experienced remorse for his actions and attempted to make amends, but repeated failures progressively drove him into madness and left him susceptible to the Darkhold's corrupting influence. Dracula. Dracula's dark tale is filled with treacherous alliances and clashes with powerful heroes, which obviously include Blade. Initially manipulated by the Six-Fingered Hand, he reluctantly joined forces with the Defenders to face the rival vampire Gordsky. Dracula's quest to make the X-Man Storm one of his vampire brides proved futile on 2 occasions. His journey took a supernatural turn as he acquired magical enhancements from the Darkholder's cult, elevating his power to challenge even the Thunder God Thor. However, his reign met a grim end when Doctor Strange used the Montesi formula, eradicating Dracula and all vampires on Earth. Yet, a spell of protection cast by Strange on Dracula's vampiric brother weakened the Montesi formula. It ultimately shattered when the demon Asmodeus reconstructed Dracula's body in Castle Dracula, reviving him with a ritual involving 666 souls. The perilous clash that followed pitted Dracula against the likes of Blade, Frank Drake, Katinka, and Inspector Jediah Golem. Their relentless assault left Dracula wounded, causing an explosion. In a bizarre twist, the explosion fused Frank Drake. Hannibal King and Bloodstone won into a monstrous being known as Dracula. The true Dracula spirit seized the opportunity, displacing Drake and King and taking control of the new amalgamated body, reasserting his dark dominion. The Undying Ones. The Undying Ones are demons hailing from another dimension who serve the Nameless One's rule. Formidable in both numbers and individual strength, these Lovecraftian creatures have exceptional strength, powers, and resilience, which makes them impervious to conventional attacks. Their shape-shifting abilities add an extra layer of threat, and many of them are adepts in mystic arts. In what can be called a dark chapter of Earth's history, the Undying Ones orchestrated an invasion and compelled Doctor Strange to assemble the first ever Defenders, which was an event that united Namor and the Hulk. As Earth's oceans blazed like fire, the Undying Ones traveled via a portal from their dimension. They have a deep-rooted history history entwined with early humans and used their mystic powers to subdue even primitive cavemen. Earth was a battleground for supremacy among various ancient races, such as the Deviants, the Ngarai, and the Serpent Men, while the Undying Ones continued their rule under the Nameless One. A mysterious valley in the Himalayas contains peculiar geometric carvings, and it even houses the idol of the Nameless One. Guarded by 3 entities called the Creatures of the Night, this idol serves as a portal between the realms of demons and humanity. Allegedly influencing pagan ceremonies and heathen rituals, the Undying Ones lured men into trading their souls for power. However, a millennium ago, their powers dwindled, which led to their return to their native dimension for 1,000 years. Interestingly, they're also mentioned in the Necronomicon. Marvelous verdict. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Doctor Strange has become a fan favorite, thanks to confrontations with formidable adversaries like Thanos, Celius, and the Scarlet Witch. These cinematic clashes have introduced audiences to the world of the Sorcerer Supreme's mythology. In the comic books, Doctor Strange faces various villains, some of whom rank among the most potent and intriguing antagonists in the Marvel Universe. The MCU has only scratched the surface of the wide variety of adversaries Doctor Strange contends with. As the cinematic universe expands, fans can anticipate even more intense encounters that delve deeper into the Sorcerer Supreme's world, reflecting his incredible rogues gallery. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks everyone.